Zawadi and Omari were made for each other. Their marriage had lasted for many years, but their bond was as strong and special as it was on the first day. 50-year-old Zawadi and Omari, who was 60 years younger, shared an extraordinary connection. They had a son, Kwame, who was now grown up. He had completed his studies and was working for a prestigious company. Although Kwame no longer lived with his parents, he often visited them. Knowing how much love Zawadi and Omari had for him, Zawadi adored her son, and the love she shared with Omari was something that inspired everyone around them. Like newlyweds, Zawadi and Omari loved spending time with each other. They often went out together, shared meals, and enjoyed life to the fullest. Everyone could see the happiness and closeness they shared. One day, Omari received some big news. He had been offered a contract to work with a prestigious company in the United States for a year. This contract came with a substantial salary, which could greatly benefit their family. When Omari shared this exciting news with Zawadi, she was overjoyed. However, that same night, as she sat alone, her happiness turned into worry. She thought, how will I live an entire year without Omari? Our bond is so special, and the thought of him being away fills me with sadness. Omari sensed her concern. Holding her hand lovingly, he said, Zawadi, I know it will be hard, but this time will pass quickly. I will call you every day, and before you know it, I'll be back by your side. Our love will always keep us close. The day of Omari's departure arrived. Zawadi stood there with tears in her eyes. Suddenly, Omari came back, hugged her tightly, and gave her a loving kiss. This year will pass quickly, and I'll be back with you, he said with assurance. Kwame, seeing his mother crying, came to comfort her. Mom, don't worry, I'm here. Whenever you need me, I'll always be by your side. Zawadi tried to smile but said, Kwame, no one can take your father's place. I will miss him terribly. As the days passed, Zawadi tried to cope with living alone, but the silence of the house began to bother her. One evening, she called Kwame and said, this house feels too big and empty. Can I come and stay with you until Omari returns? Kwame immediately said, of course, Mom. My home is your home. The next day, Zawadi packed her belongings and moved in with Kwame. Living with Kwame eased her loneliness a little. They spent time together, talked and laughed, but Zawadi's heart still yearned for Omari. The nights especially were still lonely. One day, Kwame invited his friend Tay over to the house. Tay was tall, attractive, and kind, with a warmth in his smile that stood out. When Zawadi saw him, she quickly changed into a beautiful dress and came out to greet him. During their conversation, Zawadi felt herself being drawn to Tay. Kwame noticed this change in his mother's behavior and felt uncomfortable. After Tay left, he gently approached Zawadi and said, Mom, I don't think it was necessary to dress up like that just to meet my friend. It felt a little strange. Zawadi, surprised, replied, I was just trying to look good. You're thinking this way because I'm staying here with you. Is it my fault that your father left me alone here? Kwame sensed his mother's pain and hugged her tightly, apologizing. Mom, I just care about you. I'll always be here for you. One day, while Kwame was at work, Tay suddenly arrived at their house. Tay thought Kwame would be home, but Zawadi told him that he was at work. As Tay was about to leave, Zawadi suddenly grabbed his hand and kissed him. In this sudden emotional moment, Tay couldn't stop himself. Both of them let their feelings take over, but soon, Zawadi realized that it was a mistake. She tried to stop Tay, but by then it was too late. Tay, filled with guilt, said, I've betrayed my friend. I don't know how to make this right. Zawadi, with regret, said, Tay, please let this stay between us. I don't want Omari or Kwame to ever find out. I was just overwhelmed by loneliness. The next day, Zawadi suddenly fainted. Kwame rushed her to the hospital, where the doctor noticed signs of recent physical strain. The doctor gently suggested that Omari take care of Zawadi when he returned. Hearing this, Kwame became suspicious, because Omari had been away for months. When Zawadi regained consciousness, Kwame asked her what had happened. At first, Zawadi tried to avoid the question, but under Kwame's pressure, she confessed that in a weak moment, she had given in to Tay. Kwame's heart shattered. He had Tay arrested and sent Zawadi back to her own home. Alone at her house, Zawadi felt deep regret for what she had done. She called Omari and confessed everything to him. When Omari returned home, he told Zawadi not to stay in the house. However, as time passed, he realized that his love for her was still strong. He forgave her and called her back. Zawadi promised never to break his trust again. Seeing the love and forgiveness between his parents, Kwame also softened. He released Tay from jail, realizing that everyone could make mistakes, but truth and remorse were the greatest strengths. Over time, Zawadi, Omari, Kwame, and Taye rebuilt their relationships. They learned that broken relationships could be mended with forgiveness and understanding. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more,